Alright, let's talk about wiring a utility trailer for taillights. I've got a small utility trailer. I'm going to put this light kit on. I've kind of bought all these pieces kind of individual. Got a spool of trailer wire. This is a 4-wire. We're going to go with a 4-wire system. White, brown, yellow, and green. Got some electrical connectors. Got this flat trailer. That's the trailer side of the flat 4-wire connector. Got some shrink wrap. Got the 2 tail lights we're going to use. Got these little clips. I'm going to use these clips to run the wire through, just to hold the wire up so it's kind of supported and kind of tucked out of the way. And then a little some screws, sheet metal screws that allow me to screw that in, screw these fasteners in, and a couple tools. So before we get started kind of digging into this, let me review with you what the wiring diagram of a 4-wire trailer system looks like. Here's a 4-wire trailer diagram that I put together to help me with this project. The key is, and we're going to start with describing the wires, and I'm going to start at near the bottom of the list with the white wire. That's your ground or your negative part of the circuit. What you'll notice is on the trailer portion, you actually use the metal frame of the trailer as your ground or as your negative circuit. So you'll see where we come off the connector, and at the early part of the trailer, we actually take that white wire and we actually screw it right into and make it touch the metal of the trailer. That makes the trailer piece a ground. And what you'll also notice on all of the lights, every light that you want to power, those lights need to also have a connection to the trailer, and that completes its negative or ground circuit. Next we have a brown wire. The brown wire is your running lights, or the dimly lit lights. When you turn on your headlights, you want your rear tail lights on your car or truck to run, as well as the dim lights on the trailer to run. So that brown wire is that circuit. In addition, we have a yellow wire. The yellow wire is your left turn signal and or left brake light. And conversely, you have the green wire, which is your right turn signal or right tail light. So if you apply the brakes to your vehicle, there's a positive current that goes through the green and yellow wire, providing a bright light to both the tail lights. If you turn on your right blinker, only a pulsed positive signal goes down the green wire, so only the right-hand blinker light will turn on. And conversely with the yellow, if you turn your left blinker on. So that's what each of the wire colors stand for, and so now let's kind of get to how we're going to wire this. With my trailer configuration being so short, I don't have these 2 side lights, so we won't be wiring those. But if I had side lights, I could just connect them to the brown wire, and that would give them lights whenever my headlights were on. But back to the rear lights, for the right-hand light, I'm going to make sure that I connect a brown wire and a green wire to the appropriate lead, and that'll give me the correct running light and turn signal and brake light, as well as make sure that unit's ground. My lights are grounded not by a wire, but actually by the mounting studs, and I'll show you that in detail. And then the left light will utilize also the brown wire and a yellow wire and a ground. So now let's get back to putting this stuff together. Alright, let's get this started by connecting our pigtail to our spool of wire. I'm going to do this inside, it's a little more comfortable. And I think one of the key things is you make sure you get the right connector. This is the trailer side. It's got the 3 male connectors and then the 1 female connector. Again, it has the same color coding, so all we're going to do is extend these and connect green to green, yellow to yellow, and so forth. Because I'm going to use these little, what I call a barrel connector, I don't want them all in the same spot, so I'm actually going to put 2 in one spot and then move up a little bit and put 2 more just to stagger them, so that I could put some shrink wrap on them and make them look pretty nice. So let's get started with that. First thing I'm going to do is, this is all together, I'm going to trim this, separate these wires, I get it started. Pull it back about 3 inches. Alright, we'll get started there. Come in this let's just do a little marking. Here's kind of where the end of it is. And move up and let's stack it. Let's put the green one and the brown one together. So let's cut those off the same length. The green one. And the brown one. I'll go ahead and strip them back. Easy way to use these connectors on this particular tool, that little joint right there is where it's what's going to be used to crimp this together. We'll go ahead and preload this in there. Slide this green one down in there. Right there. Crimp. Slide over, crimp again. That's nice. Alright, we straighten that out. See how those are offset? Now when you bundle them together, they'll shrink wrap a little better. In fact, let's pull this shrink wrap on there. Have it go on and overlap those some. I want to make sure I got plenty down here that's going to tighten down. And then let's just Alright, then I'm going to push this over till it overlaps. I still got plenty of back here. That side. Alright, it's going to be hot for a while, so we're going to leave that like it is. So now this is ready to install on the trailer. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mount these clips. I know where I want them. I'll go ahead and mount these in specific spaces. That way when I run this wire I can actually loop it through here and have that portion done. We'll do that next. Alright, let's work on routing. I'm going to still have the wire come through this front tube, and I've left the old wire in here so I can use it to pull the new wire through. But I'm going to have it come up and run along this rail back to that light, and across the back over to this light. And to do that I'm going to install some little clips that I can run the wire through. So let's do that next. A little bit of gap right there, just pretty easy to move. Alright, so next we're going to use this old wire to pull through our new wire. So I'm just going to tape it together and give it a tug. So I happen to know that the connector for my truck and my Jeep are really at the same level as the ball, so I'm just going to leave about that much space. Let's leave a little extra. We can adjust. I'm going to leave that much space. Okay, with the front adjusted where I want it, I'm now going to take this, I'm actually going to wrap it around this bracket just to give it an anchor point, so if I ever pull it, I won't pull it too far. Then I'm also going to single out this white wire. This is my ground, and I'm going to ground it to the frame underneath this nut. This will be my grounding point. It's a lot easier to ground it here than somewhere up under there. And so I'll just ground that, and then the wire that continues on around the trailer, I'll leave the white wire there, but that wire won't be doing anything, but I'll just leave it there for support. So let's do that next. That'll go there. I'm going to come right back here, clip just the white wire. And let's stick that underneath this. Okay, this little knot here is going to keep me from pulling it too far that way from the front. Here's my ground. Actually, we'll move that up where it's... Just rotate that up where it's not going to get caught on something. Okay, there's my ground. This grounds and makes now that the trailer metal is now my ground. So now all my lights, if I ground them to the trailer, then they'll have a ground circuit. So if you remember from the original video, this tab actually used to hang out here, and the lights that were round and they were here, but every time I would bring a trailer or something, or a lawnmower on top of the trailer, I'd bump the light and I ended up breaking the lens, and it just was irritating. I mean, I replaced those lights multiple times, so I had it cut off and then moved. They flipped it upside down that way because the bolt pattern still matches. This will mount onto there, and it's welded on. It's not the prettiest job, but it's going to do exactly what I need it to do. The key is when I mount these lights on here, these wires aren't going to really be long enough. So I could splice them out here, but I think what I'm going to do is splice them, but push the splice back in here so it's real clean coming out here and wrap it up. Let's take this back into the shop and just extend these wires. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This brand new wire is, I got 6 extra feet, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off about 3 feet, and that'll be what I use to make those pigtails. Alright, because these leads are so short, I want to lengthen them, and I really want to do it inside. But while I got this open, let's talk about this for a second. This bulb is a dual element bulb. There's 2 different elements in there. One is the dim element, and one is the bright element. So it's the same bulb, but if this, and remember the brown is our running light. If that's on, not only does it touch this bulb, but there's another bulb on the side that powers this side portion. And so that brown will power that bulb and come down and power the dim element of this bulb. If you put the brake on or you turn the turn signal on, you get the same 12-volt power through the green cable, but it does the other element, which is the brighter element. It's not the fact that there's two elements. One element's brighter than the other. And that's why that works. And then this is the back side of the mounting bolt, and that's the mount side of that. That is our ground. So we have to make sure that we don't have 3 wires in this unit. We just have the 2. These are the 2 positive leads. The negative lead is actually the mounting bolts. We'll need to make sure when we mount this light and the other light that I'm going to run a drill back through that hole. Remember, we've been painting on that trailer, and the whole thing, there's no bare metal showing. I need to re-bare the metal inside those holes. I'll do that with a drill, and then we'll mount this light and make sure we have good contact with our ground. So give me just a second. I'm going to extend these leads, and then I'll do that off camera, and then I'll show you how that looks. All right. So off camera, what I did is I extended the green. I got a barrel connector and a shrink wrap, and the brown. Went ahead and tied a knot on this side, and then I also wrapped the whole thing in black tape. And this is about 1 foot long. So I got plenty now of wire to mount this properly and get back up into my main wiring. Alright, it's time to mount these light fixtures on the trailer. And remember, we determined that this is actually our ground wire, and it needs to touch bare metal here. We've painted these things, so I'm going to take a drill and drill out. I want to make sure I got good bare metal in there. So let's take this. obviously not the right drill bit size, but as long as it fits in there, and it's now I see bare metal. The other thing I'm going to do is I've got, and again I'm just taking extra precautions, but I've got some just small strands of copper wire, and just to make sure I fill into that, let's take these nuts off. I'm going to take this wire, because this nut, this bolt is a little bit smaller than that. There's some play, and again, I want a good contact. So I'm going to wrap this around here, make it a little bit thicker, and then when I put that bolt on, it'll squish this stuff together and make it, force it to touch the trailer. So again, I think I'm gonna, hard to kind of hold and do, but just hold that there. Okay, so you can see what I did there, just kind of thickened it up, and when that nut goes on there and does that, it'll crush it and actually make it even fatter, and it'll force it to touch the metal of my trailer, and that'll definitely ground this light. Now clean it up a little bit with okay, probably only need to do one side. Let's see how that works. So I'm in the right rear corner of the trailer, and I've carefully taken a knife and I've separated each of the wires. And if you remember, this white wire is not even connected moving forward toward the trailer. So it's really only here just for no reason. I'm actually going to cut it off, get it out of the way. It does any good. In the right rear, we're going to use brown and green. Green will really terminate here. It doesn't need to go to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. But the brown, I'm not going to cut. I'm going to bare it right here so I can connect to it, but let it continue on to the left-hand side of the trailer. Give me a second and I'll get that done and kind of give you an overview. Okay, now I've got them bared back. This one normally bared off, and then this one, I just did a section of it. I'm going to fold this in half and twist it together. Now on these connections, I'm not going to use those barrel connectors. I'm going to use wire nuts for a couple reasons. If ever I'm in the field down the road and this light gets busted and I go stop at a store, I could very quickly undo the wire nuts and reinstall a new fixture if I needed to, and that way I also then have the wire nuts are already here and available, so it'll allow it for a quick disconnect. This is something we may need to disconnect sometime in the future. So these, I'm making these, bearing these back a little bit longer. That one. Wing that there. Alright, and that's it. I'll put a loop around this connector to make sure there's not a lot of tension on that, and then we'll do that. And I'm going to tape this all up just to keep it all watertight and together, and then that'll be done. So here's the rear left side, and all I'm concerned with on this for this light is the brown wire and the yellow wire. So the green wire over there on the right hand side, it's already terminated, so I went ahead and trimmed it back. The white wire has been dead for a while. We went ahead and trimmed it back. I basically carefully separated these two wires, trimmed them back, as well as the wires from my light. And now again I'm going to use some little wire nuts to put these together. Alright, I'm going to throw some tape on that just to hold it all in place, and we'll be done. We'll be ready to test. Okay, so we're going to give this thing a test. We're going to turn on the headlights, which should bring on our running lights. There, the running lights are on. So that works. We're going to test the left blinker. That works. And now the right blinker. That works. Now I'm going to press the brake, and the brake works. So it looks like with the first try we got everything working, and the key is we got good ground on all the lights. The next video we'll be decking this trailer as well as building a set of rails. If you've enjoyed or learned from the contents of this video, please click the like button. It's the simplest way to provide me some feedback to let me know that it was helpful. On the left, there's a link to a playlist that I've created for all the videos related to this project, as well as a link to subscribe to my channel. And remember, with a little bit of insight, you can do it too.